Welcome aboard, everybody, for another episode of the Speakeasy. And we are short one person tonight. Actually, short a couple of people, but my co-host Doc Martin is feeling really sick, so we're gonna be without Doc Martin tonight. How do you feel about that? Everybody send Doc Martin a prayer that she gets better fast.
Real fast. She was miserable. She sounded terrible. I talked to her this morning. She sounded awful. She sounded lovely and wonderful and perfect and fabulous. But she was stopped up.
Good catch, Kimmy.
How do you explain Doc Martin the rest of the time? No, I'm only kidding. We love Doc Martin.
Exactly what I said. Wonderful and perfect and fabulous and those other things.
Tonight we have our Chris Mac baby up in the left-hand corner. We have the up on the top right-hand corner. We have the mouth of the South, Beth Duffy. Bottom left, we have Kimmy Jong-un, Y censored. And in the bottom right corner, we have Scott of West Texas.
I'm glad you don't say like weighing in at 203.
Okay, I thought I'd show something wicked throughout a video today. I thought I'd share that first before we get rolling here. How about that? Ready?
All right.
Ready.
What's he say? Roll 'em.
Donald Trump presents Real Stable Genius.
Real stable genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Angry Socialist Activist.
Mr. Angry Socialist Activist.
What kind of guy has two thumbs and likes other people's money? That's right, this guy.
What for you to from here?
Without you, Americans would be forced to do the unthinkable when they wanted bread. Go to a grocery store.
Red lights are a good thing.
What's that bulge in my pants? Why, it's free healthcare, and free housing, and free college, and, oh yeah, higher taxes.
Alright, you just had it to see me.
So crack open a nice government beverage, oh, Prince of the Proletariat. Capitalism may keep us free, but socialism puts the free in free shit.
Mr. Angry Socialist Activist.
Donald Trump, President forever, Washington, D.C.
Donald Trump, President forever.
Forever.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that does make heads explode.
Phil's from New York. Einstein. Who said that? Oh, Hisenburn. Oh, good lord. Oh, Hisenburn's in the audience tonight.
I like him. Welcome.
Hey, we got Boogie too. Hey, Boogie.
Boogie
I like
Bumper.
him too.
Our friend Boogie
He's
Bumper.
here for Kimmy. We know.
Oh, Boogie Bumper has a little Perry
He's a
crush
smart
on
man.
Kimmy, huh?
Yeah, he
I like all
is.
the little bubble people down there.
I'd come on just to watch Kimmy too.
Oh, we've got Perry crushes on Kimmy. Interesting.
Oh my goodness.
I
Y'all are
told
gonna
you to
make
get
me-
you, Kimmy.
You did. You did. I remember. I'm not very good at revenge though, so we may
Oh no.
Oh wait, I gotta get the
Alright,
Discord
you
chat
did
up so I
too.
can see what everybody's saying about Kimmy.
Yeah, I can't.
Ooh.
I can't see chat. I can't stand it. I know that everybody gets so tired of hearing me say I can't see chat, but I have to say it every time.
It is frustrating when you can't
It makes
interact
me
with it.
mad. It makes me mad, and it makes me feel like I'm supposed to be more important, but I can't show anybody why. Like, how am I supposed to be the queen of the chat if I can't chat? That's a problem.
Oh,
I told y'all I'm going to not be able to talk all night.
I get the gist of what Hisenberg was talking about here. Hisenberg thinks that everybody who supports Trump is below the Mason-Dixon line. Sorry, Hisenberg, to burst your bubble. but there are quite a few New Yorkers that are for Donald Trump.
I believe that.
Quite a few.
I believe there's I think there's quite a lot of everybody that loves Donald Trump. I mean, of every state, not everybody. Can't stand it.
I don't think anybody can top Doc, though. That woman would definitely squeeze to his eyeball top.
She would. She says she would, and I do believe it.
I do too. 100%.
Well, that girl at the wedding got to squeeze him first, so sorry, Doc.
Yeah, that was cool when he crashed that wedding.
That was.
Makes me want to get married again.
Just to see if he shows up.
Spend all that money just to see if he shows up.
This is an open proposal for anybody in the chat or the replay. DM me. I'll send you my digits.
Oh, geez, you better be careful with that. Oh.
Oh, God.
You know, Doug just said that's like being queen without your tiara and scepter.
That's true.
Yes, yes. But I'm not the queen. Doc is the queen. We all know Doc is the queen. I'm the honeybee.
I guess that makes me the honey badger.
I was gonna wait for that.
So we got to talk
I
about.
knew you would say that.
We got to talk about our title. Our title is "Home for the Aged." So I think everybody knows what that is in reference to. Our friend, our America, as Boogie puts it, American hero. Is that how he does it? Mika, he's an American hero. I love that when Boogie says that. Mika.
I was rolling Wednesday night, or Wednesday afternoon when he came on. I was.
Yeah, it was.
Before workout, let's just say.
That was one of the funniest episodes I've ever heard Boogie do, beside some of the stuff they do on the starting block. That was pretty darn funny.
Yeah, it really was.
I actually... Oh, sorry, Kimmy.
I think sleep deprivation... I was just going to say sleep deprivation is his friend.
Yes. I actually felt bad for Bob Mueller. I don't know about you guys, but after a while...
I did in the end.
This is terrible.
Yo, I'm a really... I don't.
I thought he just threw his whole life away to protect a bunch of jerks. I would say no.
Yeah, nobody could. I mean, people are still 50-50 on whether or not, you know, it was a stage setup thing or not. I mean, that's out of my purview, so I can't really answer.
Well, here's the thing. Either it was staged, like either it was an act or it wasn't an act. If it was an act, I don't feel sorry for him because he did exactly what he wanted to do, and yippee for him. And if it wasn't an act, then fuck him. Because...
There you go. All you need to say.
I mean, he didn't even know who fusing GPS. He's never heard that term.
Oh,
it's like,
exactly.
Give me a fucking break.
I'm sorry, but at the end I thought, boy, if that was my great-great-grandfather up there... why would they put this guy up there? It was just embarrassing. His
Yeah,
I mean, you got to think he's got grandkids. He's got grandkids. I mean, how are they going to explain this? It's like, it's embarrassing. It's like they took him out of the home and wheeled him over to Congress and made an ass out of him in front of the whole country. I don't know.
That's the whole grandparents over the cliff thing. His job was done. Throw him away.
Well, that's the thing that doesn't make sense to me, though. Is I mean, if he would only watch the shows that we watch on Periscope, he would have known more about his investigation than he did.
True.
I mean, we could have answered those questions for him.
He could watch Boogie one episode and he'd know it all.
I'm serious.
I mean,
Or even if he watched him. If he watched the mainstream media, he could have at least known the wrong information. He didn't even know the wrong information.
If he had picked up a newspaper or listened to the radio for 5 minutes, like Fusion.
He was in charge of the special counsel.
I can tell you the one thing I knew for sure is that he did not read that report. He didn't
or
read
write
it.
it.
He didn't read it. He had
That
nothing
was
to
the
do
big.
with it.
I think that was the biggest shock out of the whole thing. That
Exactly.
we have no fucking clue what he was doing.
Exactly.
And, Wiseman, I guess, was running the show, and that really shocked me. We all thought that he was in charge, and yesterday or Wednesday proved that no, he wasn't in charge. He didn't even have a clue what was going on.
No, he's not in charge of his bladder. He's definitely not in charge of that investigation. I'm
Now we have a
wait, but I'm not
coming on.
Say it again.
Oh, nothing. I'm just amen and go on.
Okay. I did happen to see a thing from Sith Princess pop up, so I just wanted to tell her thank you.
Hisenburn, he did not confirm obstruction of justice. Stop being a moron. Come on, it's over, buddy. You know it.
He confirmed obstruction of justice. He didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can't.
And the Democrats, they got Mueller and had going over things, trying to trying to get a setup going. Surely during that he showed that he was mentally incompetent, and they still put him on. Because apparently they spent a couple of days.
Who's talking? Who's talking? Who's talking?
What are we talking about?
Oh, you.
I'm not sure.
That was it. Oh.
I'm lost.
Oh. I was just doing a little Robert Mueller impersonation. Who?
Yeah, that was the point. He was pulling a Mueller.
Yeah.
That was so funny. I don't know who it was that was talking, but he was trying to find him, and he was like, "Where's that voice coming from? Where I'm hearing voices."
Then the look of shock on his face when they were asking him questions. It's in your report. It is? It is in my report? I wrote that?
I stand by the report.
Now, I will tell you, there were times that he was answering questions when he had a smirk on his face, and it wasn't like a Peter Stroke smirk. It was like it was a different kind of smirk. So
Laura Ingraham had a body language expert on, and they were talking about that, about the way he would shift his jaw into a way that he tilted his chin and shifted his jaw meant something. I think that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about like there were smirks, like secret smirks, like he knew that he couldn't answer that, but not. I can't explain it really exactly what I mean, but like.
Boy, you sound like me.
Like if I'm talking to someone and I know that you know that I know that you know, and like I'm answering like I don't know, but we both know I know. It was that kind of smirk, and so I did feel like there was a possibility that he knew a little bit better what was going on than he was letting on. But I also happen to be a card-carrying conspiracy theorist.
Well, yeah, I can see that.
You have to look through that filter, but I don't know. We'll see. Or we won't see. We may never know anything.
That's true. We may never know.
It's just amazing that he went over 2 years, almost 3 years on this.
$15 million?
Yeah, and we didn't ever know that he wasn't really running the show.
Oh, that just drove me nuts.
I mean, that was the biggest thing I got out of it, was that he was like a figurehead.
Well, and when Nadler started and said that we basically paid for it from some money we made, so basically it was free. I was like, what? I didn't get that part.
That sounds like me when I go buying a few extra candles and it was on sale 3 for, buy 3, get 2 free. I didn't get 2 free candles. I bought 3.
Yeah.
Like it's money I wouldn't have spent. So like I could have spent it on something else. Even if it's extra money, I could have spent it on something else. That's a bad analogy. But I could have spent it on something.
I understood it.
You find $20 in the dryer, you could go waste it, or you could spend it well.
Very good example.
I prefer to waste it.
Somebody just had a cute pun in the chat. New York.
Oh my God!
They're talking about banning taking cats' claws off or declawing them.
Oh my
God!
Good. Yeah, this is in New York. A bill's going. They got a bill that would ban declawing cats.
Oh my God!
I support that fully.
And so Doc says, yes, D-Claus is coming.
Oh.
If it doesn't take 4 years like it has with this, too, however long.
We got
Maybe they'll do D-Claus and the D-Class at the same time. Hopefully.
We got a nice little picture of Peter Strzok up on the screen if you got your phone with you.
What was that, Phil?
Peter Strzok. I got him up on the screen.
Oh yeah, that evil look.
Yeah.
I can't even watch him.
That explains the shivers I just got up my spine.
Oh, yeah.
Are you denying obstruction of justice, Hisenburn?
I'm not sure which was more bizarre, Strzok's testimony or Mueller's. They were both equal idiots.
Yeah.
Or Hisenburn believing there's still obstruction of justice. What's more bizarre? Pick one.
Yep.
So were any of the GOP congressmen or committee members, anybody stand out to anyone?
Well, I know that everybody likes Swalwell, and I do like. I mean, not
what?
No.
What did you just say?
I can't even say his name.
Oh.
That is definitely not at all what I meant, and I don't even want to say what I meant now because I feel like I ruined it. But I meant to say Jim Jordan, which is y'all are going to fire me from life for saying that. But I saw a clip of, and I don't know how to say his name, but Gomert or Gomer or Go something.
Louis
yeah,
Gohmert?
I really liked his passion a lot.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell y'all a funny thing that happened in a DM group that is a little bit dirty, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
It's for here. We welcome you, Kimmy, with open arms.
Okay, well, here it goes. Okay, so I wish that Ben was in here. Let me see, is Ben in here? No. Okay, shout out to Ben.
Ben K?
Yes, Bit Veritas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is so funny. Oh my gosh. But he posted a link, and I watched it, and it was that Gomer, whatever, and I was watching, and I thought he was doing a great job, and I was watching all this stuff, and then at the end, Mueller's response was, "I take your question." I'm like, what do you mean?
I know that.
Like, that's what you say when you're having a press conference and you pick on somebody, right? Like, okay, I'll take your question. But this is not what you say after someone's actually given you their question. And then whoever it was in Nadler, he says, it's like, it's not your turn anymore. It's time for you to stop or whatever. And then he's like, can he answer the question? He's like, yeah, I take your question. I take your question. And that was the end. That was the end of his statement. Like, I take your question. That was it. And so I put in the DM, I'm like, what is he talking about? I take your question. Like, I don't know what that means. And Ben goes, I think he meant like a dick. he says he took that question hard. he took all of it. I'm like, oh okay. God. That makes sense.
Shout out, Ben. Well done.
It made me so happy. I was like, I love clever people. So maybe that's what he meant.
Okay.
That is pretty funny.
Because it makes as much sense as anything else.
Because Heisenberg, I don't care how you say his name, but anyway, Heisenberg is so obsessed with obstruction of justice.
Oh my God.
I actually downloaded Boogie Scope. So I'm going to play some portions of it, if you guys don't mind.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Boogie, we're stealing your stuff. Sorry, but we're giving you full credit. All right, let's find
6 or 7 hours. But we will. I do want to show you a couple of clips. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a quick reminder, if you'd like to become a supporter of the show, please head over to patreon.com/Boogie Bumper. Become a subscriber by hitting that subscribe button on your preferred podcast player. And of course, if you...
I didn't want to skip that part, so we'll give Boogie some credit.
I'm glad you put that in. I was going to say, I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, I accidentally put it on that part, but it's all right.
If you would like to drag me over the hot coals Mueller style, then you can do so by following me on Twitter @BoogieBumper. A couple of little things I identified here. There is so much more that we could go through. So let's just get into it. This was the first part, about 40 minutes in. This was the first piece of effective grilling that I noticed. And this was the first piece of questioning that I thought, okay, the Republicans can make something out of this angle. So let's have a look.
Gentlelady. Good morning, Director. If you'll let me quickly summarize your opening statement this morning. You said in volume...
Now, I know people are going to say, oh, Jim Jordan and oh, Devin Nunes and Matt Gaetz. Everybody else is going to be talking about Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes and Matt Gaetz, so I'm not going to waste your time. There was a couple of other little things from, perhaps second-tier players that...
Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz destroyed him. I mean, absolutely demolished him.
I think so, too. Who was it that set it down and said, I'm just not going to even read this? He couldn't even read it.
I'm not sure.
It was the Intelligence Committee. I don't know if it was Nunes or who. Somebody was reading it. It might have been Jordan. But he finally just put it down and said, you know what? I can't even read this.
Okay, let's go back to Boogie here. Let's see what he's got.
Okay. Those are the things that I'm interested in.
This was some of the
things.
funniest stuff I've ever heard. The way Boogie handles this is funny.
That I want to point out.
Volume 1 on the issue of conspiracy, the special counsel determined that the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. And then in Volume 2, for reasons that you explained, the special counsel did not make a determination on whether there was an obstruction of justice crime committed by the president. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, in explaining the special counsel did not make what you called a traditional prosecution or declination decision, the report on the bottom of page 2 of Volume 2 reads as follows. The evidence we obtained about the president's actions and intent presents difficult issues that prevent us from conclusively determining that no criminal conduct occurred. Accordingly, while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. Now, I read that correctly?
Yes.
All right. Now, your report, and today you said at all times the special counsel team operated under, was guided by, and followed Justice Department policies and principles. So, which DOJ policy or principle sets forth a legal standard that an investigated person is not exonerated if their innocence from criminal conduct is not conclusively determined?
Can you repeat the last part of that question?
Yeah.
Can you repeat that question stuff? By the end, I was fucking pissing myself laughing. I was on my own listening to it, and I was predicting. Can you repeat the question? That's not in my purview. I'm not going to get into that. Whenever there was like 2 or 3 seconds of silence, and he would just sit there and stare at the person, I'm telling you, it was like an old guy who finds himself on the wrong bus, who's taken too much of his heart medication and he's disoriented and doesn't quite know where he is. And it looks like he's really listening. I mean, he's got good eye contact, right? He's got good posture. He's following along with the report. He's reading. And so then comes the question, and he just stares blankly at the person asking the question for about 4 or 5 seconds. I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part of that?
I stopped it there so we could talk about it. So Boogie doesn't hit us with a copyright violation.
Boogie's words paint a picture that most people cannot do with words. He has a way of saying it.
Yeah. I agree totally.
I didn't mean anything by that. I was just saying.
I have long called him the master of ridicule, so I think that kind of covers
Yeah, that covers it.
That would do.
I mean, he absolutely nails this, what happened on Wednesday, doesn't he? I mean, oh, let's keep going here.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part of that question, please? Young man, young whippersnapper. You know, you young whippersnappers, you talk a little bit too fast for this old man. Would you mind, Sonny Jim, just going back to the start? It reminds me of that Simpsons bit where, you know, remember when Homer Simpson becomes Mr. Burns' assistant? And Mr. Burns says, okay, I want you to do this, and he rattles off a whole bunch of things, and Homer's got his notepad there, and it looks like he's taking notes, and he goes, yep. can you please go back to the part where you said all the things? That's what it looked like to me.
Which DOJ policy or principle set forth a legal standard that an investigated person is not exonerated if their innocence from criminal conduct is not conclusively determined?
Yeah, whippersnappers.
Where does that language come from, Director? Where is the DOJ policy that says that? Let me make it easier.
Go ahead.
Can you give an example other than Donald Trump where the Justice Department determined that an investigated person was not exonerated because their innocence was not conclusively determined?
I cannot, but this is a unique situation.
Well, you can't. Time is short. I've got 5 minutes. Let's just leave it at you can't find it because I'll tell you why. It doesn't exist. The special counsel...
Oh, I paused it for a second because our boxes went crazy because the real Chris Mack, not the baby Chris Mack in the Yankees uniform, joined us.
You're dead, Angelo. You're dead. That's all I got to say. You're dead.
We love that picture.
Welcome, brother.
Everybody loves that picture, Chris Mack.
There's one in every bunch. And D'Angelo is that one.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
You get to talk to you twice this week?
You do. Good to see you.
Hey.
Twice. It's not like Chris Mack is on 4,599 times a week.
Well, I figured I would lose the Gilligan hat for this show tonight. D'Angelo, since you're on, I brought the correct here. You had the correct pirate radio hat on, and I may wear a double pirate radio Atlanta Braves.
We don't need anybody else to speak easy.
That'll look about like me anyway. That's sort of Chris anyway, sort of the dunce and the baseball player. And I brought this. Let me just swing the camera down. I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm going to just show D'Angelo that right there.
Oh.
And that does not stand for asshole like some people have wrongly claimed that stands for. I'm just saying. All right.
I'm busted.
Back to being serious. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt the show.
That's okay. Have a hat so can I.
Thank you, Kimmy.
Chris, we were going through Boogie's assessment. Oh, sorry.
Do what?
We were going through Boogie's assessment of the Mueller probe because
I'm sorry. Go ahead and go through that. I'm with you. I'm listening.
Well, I'm
going to mute my mic just for a second so I can listen, and then I'll.
Well, you can talk while I'm fixing the boxes. This show has gone completely crazy, folks.
Yep. You are a disruptor.
Yes, he is.
Oh.
I would like to ask Chris if your your grandson's okay.
He's doing better. Yes, he's fine. He's doing good.
So he's home.
He's home. Everything's good. He came home yesterday. All good. Just a little scare. He was fine.
Yeah, he had
at that age, you can't take any chances. I mean, you have to sort of go with what the doctors tell you, and they had some issues a few weeks ago, and this was just a stomach thing, and it just sort of caused his heartbeat to sort of go down a little bit low, and then once they got to the hospital, they gave him some IV, and then
Glad to hear he's doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been really busy this week. Chris, can you explain what happened there?
What's that?
I've been real busy this week. Can you explain what happened there, Chris? To your grandson?
What?
Well, he went to the hospital Wednesday night. We were, I'd actually done a little live thing with him, and 2 hours later, before I knew it, he was throwing up and just kept throwing up. It just, he wouldn't stop, and then they said that whatever was going on, it caused his heart rate to really drop, and his eyes got real dilated, and the EMTs, my daughter-in-law called the EMTs, and...
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Excuse me, Chris has got a supper on his mouth here. But, hey, it's live TV, guys. I mean, I'm sorry. Come on.
I just thought it was like
Fox News, right? I mean, this is D'Angelo show. I can come on with my dinner on my mouth and.
That's right.
This is Denise Martin. I'm the Denise Martin character tonight. Denise is in the camera.
Yep, that's our group. I may or may not be wearing.
But anyway.
God.
But anyway, he had a little scare. I mean, without a doubt, it was a little scare. The EMTs even looked at him and said, he's just not responding well to the light. And they took him in. They kept him all day Thursday. Came on Friday morning, but it was not a seizure like they thought, which was good. And that was the main thing. So he's fine. He's fine.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that, Chris. Got to take care of him.
Good to meet you. I don't think I've ever met you face to face. Good to see Scott.
Yeah, it is.
Good to see you, buddy.
Look, bro. Yeah.
Good to see you, Beth. I've already talked to Kimmy. Me and Kim's going to be on the show together next week.
She is becoming well-renowned.
Who's that?
You going to be on My Favorite Things?
My Favorite Things, exactly. My favorite Christmas song. I like that.
Oh, I do.
And I'm going to play Chris has a version of it. I'm going to play it at the beginning if he'll give me permission without, copyright.
You actually play my song at the beginning? Are you kidding me?
I'm going to play a different song at the beginning of all of mine every time, but I'm going to play yours when you come on.
Okay, well, that's very sweet of you. You can do that. That's awesome.
If you don't mind. I'm not paying for it, though.
By the way,
I'm not that famous yet, Kimmy. I don't want to be that famous. You don't have to pay for it. It's for free.
Okay.
I had to stand on the street corner and give these things away, and people wouldn't take them. So I've had to do that. Ain't nobody going to be having to pay for my stuff.
Just a quick wrap up on a previous story about the bill in New York, forbidding declawing cats.
Declawing cats.
I think it was Lady Fritzer, but someone said she thinks that it's the furniture lobby pushing that bill.
Oh my Lord!
Do y'all not support that bill? Because I do 100%. They need to stop sucking those claws out of those poor little kittens.
Oh no!
Not enough sucking them, but like chopping them. If someone cuts your fingers off, that hurts.
We're talking.
Even if they give you a bandage. What? I can tell Beth disagrees.
Go, Beth, go.
I didn't say a thing.
I want to fight. What do you have to say?
There's my Kimmy.
We're gonna have a cat fight up in here.
I'm bringing my lawyer to Kim's show just in case. I'm gonna be like Bob Mueller. I'm gonna have two lawyers behind me and one sitting beside me. If I get something that Kim asks me, I need to ask: Do I need to respond to this or not?
Make sure one of them has a big fat mustache.
It's definitely out of our purview.
It will be out of my purview. That is my new statement. It is out of my purview. When the Yankees win the World Series, it's out of my purview.
I don't even think I knew what that word was until that day.
I did. I was proud of myself.
What are you sweating for, D'Angelo? I've only been on the show 5 minutes. I mean, come on. Goodness.
Doc's not here. He can't talk.
It's this Atlanta gear. I mean, are you kidding me? You come on a New Yorker show.
It's the same thing here. Yeah, I'm in my man cave in New York.
Dear Lord.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Wiping sweat.
Oh.
It's bad enough we had to beat you in the World Series. How many times was that, Chris? How many losses in the World Series?
This is a family show, D'Angelo. We'll need to take this conversation outside the confines of Speakeasy tonight. This is Speakeasy. This ain't Cuss Easy, and this ain't come back with something that the bleeps will have about 1 million bleeps on it, but that's okay. You can rub it in right now. It'll be all right. The South will rise again.
I'm dying.
The South will rise again. Exactly.
I love it when someone goes after me.
Well, Hisenburn was in the chat, and he thinks that nobody on the show is above the Mason-Dixon line, although he's wrong. I am.
Yeah, he is wrong.
And what's the matter, Hisenburn? Are you a racist? I'm half Asian. So
he's a geographist.
He must be a racist because I'm half Asian, right? I'm not 1/1024th Asian.
Why do you always go there?
Well, I had to just for.
I know you do.
Oh, sexy girlfriend.
Did you ever go up to your girlfriends and go tune in Tokyo like you're supposed to?
No.
Oh, okay.
This kid
I don't know.
It's a family show, Kimmy.
Yes, family show.
I already told a dick joke. I might as well go the other.
All right, now I got to do the Chris Mack disclaimer. This is not Romper Room. This ain't no Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. This is the electric company.
D'Angelo, it's about time you listen to something I said. Yeah, he's actually listening to what I say on Friday night. It's about time. About time somebody listens to what I say around here. I'm honored that you'd repeat my disclaimer. That's good. I just do it a little differently. What I say to him, and if you bring your ass into this show and you complain about the language after we tell you it's not Romper Room, we're going to send you to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Absolutely.
That's right. People don't realize that they can be responsible for their own decisions. I really don't understand why people think that once they come into a Periscope or something that they were stuck there forever. There is, and there will probably always be an X. It'll probably be always at the top right, and it's not hard. You just push it and you go.
Excellent point, Kimmy. Excellent.
Well,
that's how I feel about them all. And again, every show's not for everybody. I mean, look, there's 1,000 shows a day on Periscope, probably 10,000 shows a day. And I mean, not everybody's going to be, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I mean, that's just how it is. And I've never tried to be everybody's cup of tea, and I don't think anybody else does either. And I'll just say this. I mean, the people that are in this chat room tonight with this show, and again, every show's not for everybody. I mean, look, there's 1,000 shows a day on Periscope, probably 10,000 shows a day. And I mean, not everybody's going to be, you're not going to be
Okay.
I
thought it was worth repeating, Chris. It was so good.
I was hearing a parrot. Was I hearing a parrot in the room? I mean, was that your parrot, D'Angelo?
It was so good what you said. I thought I'd repeat it.
Well, as long as we're on
the rumor has it that the Mac Files is on 10,000 times a week, so I had to put it in there because I figured that the Mac Files is 9,999 of that 10,000. So I'm just saying,
And I'm still on episode 3.
What's that, Beth?
I'm only on episode 3. I can't fit them all in.
Well, before we leave the discussion that Kimmy started, there's a meme that I really love.
The discussion Kimmy started?
I don't understand.
Which one?
With male, anatomy. But anyway, it shows a mom in a car with a young daughter and son in the back seat. They're driving, and it says at the top, "Dildo hits the windshield out of nowhere." Girl: "Mom, what was that?" Mother: "Nothing, sweetheart, just a big bug." Girl: "It had a hit, though."
It had a what?
A huge dick, though.
What?
Okay, that's it.
Right, I need to go. Hang on, I need to go dial my priest and make sure he's so I can be on the show tonight.
What do we do if our priest is you?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to tell one of my favorite mom stories. Y'all probably heard this before, but okay, so when Jessica was probably 10 or 12, we had those love bugs that you get in the South, and maybe some people call them June bugs. Well, they just fly around doing the nasty all day long.
Yep.
And so they're like, if you see one, you see two, and they're like that. Well, butt to butt. And so I had one on my door, and my door has windows, and so there was two bugs on my window, whatever. Okay. So Jessica she says, "Mom, what are those bugs doing?" And I was like, "Ew." I said, "They're kissing." And she looks at me and goes, "With their butts?" I'm like, baby, bugs are so weird. I don't even know.
Where's Stefan when you need him? He's the one that turned 20 shades red.
He did what?
He turns 20 shades red at stuff like that.
He does.
I wanted, speaking of Stefan, good talking to you tonight, bro, by the way. Stefan's a good guy. But I want to mention that Jason, Mr. Bearded Truth, I think it's Mr. Bearded Truth or Jason.
It's Bearded Truth.
Bearded Truth?
Yeah.
Congratulations, newborn girl.
Oh, that's who the baby is.
And we I love Jason to death. He's a precious young man. been on our show a few times. He's going to be back on soon. But congratulations, kiddo. And fatherhood will make you gray-headed and broke, but it's going to be great. It'll be a great journey. Absolutely. That Jason was so young looking. You're going to be looking like this. 5 years from now, Jason's going to be looking like Chris. But no, seriously though, congratulations. And I just wanted to say that tonight to my buddy. Great news that mom and baby's doing great, and so is Jason. Appreciate you. Really
yeah,
good.
I saw the pic and I had no clue.
I like him so much. I like him because he disagrees with people and he doesn't mind letting them know about it.
That fits you to a T.
Well, he's got a mind. I tell you, for his age, he's beyond his years about the Constitution. He's very, very
really,
and he's very, very smart young man. And you know, guys, it's funny, Kim, you say that about disagreement. You know, that's part right now of our issue here in this country. It truly is, that we can't disagree anymore without it turning personal, without it turning into this hate fest. And look, not all of us are ever going to agree on anything, either on the right or the left. Like, it's not even right or left anymore. It's just people to people. We've got 5 people in these boxes right now. If we sit at a table and talk for 5 or 6 hours, I guarantee you there's something that's going to come up between even us 5 here that not everybody's going to see quite eye to eye on. It doesn't mean that that person who's saying that is wrong or right.
Like kitty claws.
It's just their opinion.
Yes, right.
Just like the kitty claws, yeah. But seriously though, see the difference is, are we going to get up from that table as friends, or are we going to get up from that table as enemies? What's happening right now, America's getting up from the table as enemies. Yeah, people are getting up and they're not wanting to listen to anybody else's opinion but their own.
Right.
And that's where we're at, and it's terrible.
What's even worse than that, I think, is people who won't try to form their own opinions for fear.
Right.
That's a great point.
Of getting treated like that. And that's, and I think that maybe there's something personal there, because I used to kind of be that way. Like, it was hard for me to form my own opinions. I didn't want to piss somebody off, you know, or whatever. But
that's kind of like what the Speakeasy is like. We may all be MAGA, but we all have different opinions on different policies, maybe. But we can always get up and walk away friends. We would never walk away as enemies, I think.
Well, Beth, not only that, but we would walk away loving our country. Look, I'm going to be honest with you now, and I'm just going to be brutally honest with you about the left. There's nothing the left embraces that Chris McDonald will ever embrace. Ever.
True.
I mean, we're not talking about that kind of difference, because I'm going to tell you something. That's never going to be reconciled. I heard there was somebody the other day talking about, you know, we were in a show, and somebody in the chat room, I made the statement that the left don't want to reconcile, and they said, "Oh, yes, we do." No, they don't.
Saw that.
No, they don't.
Reconcile means they want us to do what they think that we should do.
They want us on the right to believe that the country's bad, that we're all racist, that it's all social justice, that there's 50 transgenders, that being white male is the disease of America, not terrorism, that basically Donald Trump is a crook, a racist, a Russian colluding agent. That's what they want us to believe. And if you don't believe that, then all of a sudden you're the racist, the bigot, misogynist.
Exactly.
That's never going to be reconciled. That's not what I'm talking about here tonight. I'm talking about just what Beth sort of alluding to, that we're all in love with the country. Can I just submit to y'all that those people that talk like that, they can tell me they love the country all they want. They don't.
Exactly.
They don't. That's destroying our country. That when you're talking stuff that's destroying the country, you don't love the country. It doesn't mean you have to love Donald Trump to love the country, but you got to want the best for the nation. You got to want the best, that our country succeeds and prospers, and that people are equal under the law. The same people that would fight you to the death over that thing will tell you tonight that Hillary Clinton's not a crook, that she's done nothing wrong, that none of the left's done anything wrong. Clapper's not done nothing wrong. Brendan's not done nothing wrong. This whole Mueller thing has been justified. Those same people will defend the crooks to their life and death.
Hey, Chris, I got a question for you. How come you can get the names right tonight, but you couldn't get the names right last night?
Just an act, D'Angelo. It's just an act. I do it so y'all won't think I'm stupid, and that way I go behind your scenes and solve the world's peace crisis in about 10 minutes, and you say, There's even a moron can solve the world's crisis. That's why I do that.
Even a caveman can do it.
What's that?
Even a caveman can do it.
Chris Mack, stable genius.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
I truly apologize to Barbara Lesko tonight. I feel bad. I got her name wrong on McJustice again tonight. I called her Lecco. I don't know what in the world I'm thinking. I mean, you would have thought I would have got it corrected after last night's fiasco. Of course, we recorded McJustice before Pirate Radio, but it's Barbara Lesko. Miss Lesko, I want you to know out there, Congresswoman, we're sorry for mispronouncing your name, but we love you to death. And we're going to play your clip next Friday night in honor of Chris McDonald's mispronunciation of your name 10 times on the Pirate Radio show. And we will get your name right next week because people are still laughing about that one from last night.
I think it'll help build her character. If you don't care enough about her to say her name right, it'll build her character.
Speaking of
I thought she did great, though. I thought, look, let me tell you what she did. Let me tell you why she was important in that hearing. Bob Mueller was trying to tell Ted Lieu that the only reason they didn't indict Donald Trump was this this policy that basically says you can't indict a sitting president. Now, Bill Barr made it clear in his summary that was not the case. And he said, Bob Mueller told us that's not the case. Bob Barr didn't say, I made that decision. In his summary, he said, Bob Mueller told us that it was not the case that Donald Trump was not indicted because of the ICL policy. All right? He said that's Bob Mueller in the report. Well, Bob Mueller goes out a week later in that press conference where he acted so alert, and he said he insinuated that it was the case. And then he gets before Ted Lieu and does it, and both times he had to back up and restate that position. It was deliberate. He did it deliberately to put that thought in people's minds that the only reason that they didn't indict Trump was because of ICL and DOJ policy, and John Ratcliffe called him on it, and Barbara Lesko did too. She nailed him to the wall because she just didn't nail him about policy. She said, you told Ted Lieu this morning that you didn't indict Trump because of the policy. That's not correct. You didn't state that in your report. He had to back up and say, you're right, I shouldn't have said that. You know why he corrected it? Because he had a perjury charge facing him if he didn't. He was doing it under oath.
So that was the correction he made after the break?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, she confronted him with it, and I'm proud of her. So, Congresswoman, even though I mispronounced your name a million times, I salute you. I appreciate you.
I will say, I'm so used to Trey Gowdy, Jim Jordan. There were a couple new ones that really stepped up. I was surprised. Even one of them called himself the GOP closer. I was like, whoa.
I think they all did well, Beth. I'll be honest with you. I was really surprised. I thought these Republicans were going to wimp down, but I think there wasn't one of them that pretty much didn't lay the hammer to the wood. But I will tell you all this, and we talked about it last night on the show, talked about it on McJustice tonight. I'm not 100% sure all this Mueller stuff was not just an act.
We were talking about that earlier.
It wasn't an act.
Well, since we're talking about that, shall we continue on with Boogie's show there?
I'm sorry, Phil. I didn't mean to take over your show.
No, that's okay. No, we're having a good time here.
Just let Chris speak. This was Speakeasy by Phil D'Angelo tonight. I apologize. You can always delete my box. You know that you can always, as Kim said, there's an X. You can always reach up there and click that X and X McDonald out of here. I apologize. I run my mouth too much.
No, it's okay. Sorry. That's quite all right, Chris. And if you want to know what
Sunday morning meeting time's like, you just witnessed it right here.
Oh, it was so good. I love. Look, I want to say something super fast before you go, because it has to do with what Chris said. I just want to wrap that up before we go. The thing about people getting along and disagreeing and stuff. One of my favorite people that I listen to on YouTube, she says that if we both agree on everything, then one of us isn't necessary. I love that.
Great point, Kim.
Yeah. That is good.
I just wanted to make sure to get that in because I love it.
You always make me look bad.
I do what?
You come prepared. You make me look bad.
No. I'm not prepared.
Compliment, Kimmy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
okay.
Chris Mack
is unprepared, talking on whatever we want to talk on.
Chris Mack, I don't know if you watched or listened to Boogie's show the other day. Did you get a chance to watch Boogie's assessment of the Mueller hearings?
I didn't get a chance to watch that one, no.
You missed a classic.
That was Wednesday night you're talking about?
Yes.
Was it Wednesday?
It was
Yeah,
Wednesday
he did
night.
it afternoon.
It was afternoon, actually. It was an early edition. But I'm going to continue playing some of it, Chris. It is some of the funniest stuff out there right now.
And if you would, I would just like to refer you back to the report. You see, I can't get into it. This one was good.
Thank you. Director Mueller, my Democratic colleagues were very disappointed in your report. They were expecting you to say something along the lines of, here's why President Trump deserves to be impeached, much as Ken Starr did relative to President Clinton back about 20 years ago. Well, you didn't. So their strategy had to change. Now they allege that there's plenty of evidence in your report to impeach the...
Like, it looks like he's listening there. It really looks like he is paying attention, doesn't it? But he's not. He's not paying attention. It's an illusion.
President, but the American people just didn't read it. And this hearing today is their last best hope to build up some sort of groundswell across America to impeach President Trump. That's what this is really all about today. Now, a few questions. On page 103 of Volume 2 of your report, when discussing the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting, you reference, quote, the firm that produced steel...
I paused it there because I don't know if you guys can see it, but Mueller is leafing through the report as he's talking. It's just hilarious.
He did it the whole time. He did it
like
both morning and afternoon. Oh, look, it's evidence, guys. He didn't write this report.
No.
I put it like this. He either didn't write it, and Weissman wrote it. But look, that's a travesty right there. But the bigger travesty is he's going before Congress. He didn't even read it. It's evident he didn't read this.
So obvious.
Well, Chris, it's a lot of pages now. Come on.
Yeah, right.
That's our excuse.
You know what, Chris? I'll say this for Mueller. It was not in his purview to read that.
Yeah, it was not his purview to read it, huh? Yeah. Well, let me tell you what, let me tell you, folks. Let me tell you this, Phil. And on all serious note, the country has been put through hell itself for 3 years over this bullshit. So let me say that on Speakeasy tonight. This whole mess has been going on for 3 freaking years because of Bob Mueller and Rod Rosenstein and these Democrats. And you get down to the end of this 3 years later on a 400-page report, and you tell me that's not in your purview, and the country has suffered and been divided into two like a knife cutting a piece of bread?
Preach.
We're not supposed to be happy about that. We as patriots, somebody needs to pay a price for that. And I think they will. I'm not sure when, but I'm telling you something. That was a travesty Wednesday on so many levels, but it bothered me on this level more. What it's done to the country, what it's done to President Trump, what it's done to his family, what it's done to 4 people who, if they were not associates of Donald Trump, wouldn't have been indicted. They would not even be indicted. And Jim Jordan pointed that out. All these other people lied to you.
Right.
Glenn Simpson lied to you. Christopher Steele lied to you. Joseph Mithaloud lied to you. James Comey lied. And you didn't indict them. And 4 people that basically misspoke. They really didn't lie. If you get down to it, Flynn didn't even know he was under oath. And they got a date or 2 wrong. Papadopoulos got indicted because of one date. One date. He got messed up under oath. And they indicted him on making false statements.
And we wasted 2 weeks of jail pay.
And millions of dollars, Beth. Millions of taxpayers' dollars. And
plus, he also said, he said that they asked him about the 500 interviews.
Yes.
Oh,
how many he had seen, and he said very few.
None.
Very few, Scott. Look, we should be mad tonight, folks. This ain't a joke. This ain't funny. Because I'm going to tell you something. It pisses me off the fact of what they've done to the country. It's not fair. And we shouldn't have been here. That's the thing. This whole thing has been a hoax. Yep. It's been a perpetrated hoax that has destroyed the country for 3 years. And you get to the end of it, and the man that's in the middle of it and in charge of it didn't even read his report and didn't write it. How crazy have we gotten and insane in the good old United States of America in 2019. That should bother us as patriots, but it should bother us as citizens and bother us as humans that this never happened again, and somebody pay a price for what they did. Somebody pay a price for what they did.
They will, Chris, and that's why I'm not mad about it. I've been mad about it, and then I got over being mad about it, and then seeing that day, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just another thing to laugh at, because I believe that these people are going down, and I believe that it may not happen right now, but it will happen, that they're going to be punished for what they've done to our country, and I can't wait for it. So it doesn't make me mad, because I feel like it's part of the process of exposing them. And so whenever I see evil get exposed, I'm like, good. I'm like, it makes me happy that it's getting exposed. But as a patriot, I do understand what you're saying, the idea that they have fucked with our country the way they have. But they've been doing it for so long.
That's
so
true.
Nothing new has happened. The only thing that's new is that we know about it.
What gives me hope is President Trump keeps tweeting and saying this can never happen to another president again. Right. And the only way that this can never happen to another president again is if these people are prosecuted, so people in the future will know, shit, I'm not going to do that.
Right, Scott. That's right. Hey, let me tell y'all a little thing that maybe y'all missed yesterday, or was it Friday, or maybe in today, but I know it was yesterday, I think. It was the press conference they held in the White House, and for the first time, as far as publicly, now I'm sure he's been saying it privately, but for the first time, he said, you know something? I think we need to subpoena Obama's records. Hillary's records. I think we need to look at that book deal that Obama did. And let me tell you what, I had a dear friend who's my guest on Monday nights now tell me, I'm not going to get into all the details of what he said to me, but this is the bottom line. President Trump never says anything without purpose.
No.
Agreed.
He never tweets without, it's like James talked about last night. The number one thing that you're taught in law school, I've never been to law school, but before you sit down and the ink on your notebook is dry, your first page of the first day of law school, the number one thing that they tell you is you never ask a question that you don't know the answer. And President Trump never tweets out a tweet that he don't know exactly what he's tweeting, and the result of that tweet is, and to be honest with you, I'm beginning to wonder, and I begin to think that a lot of that he tweets that he's talking about future has already happened.
Absolutely.
That's what I'll submit to you, Chris, is that they already have all the information. It's already been subpoenaed a long time ago. He knows exactly what's in it, and he's trying to bait them into saying something that's false.
Well, and I agree, and I think he's also he's letting us know, not just us, but like just the American people, like what is next. So go ahead and put that in their minds, because it's what they do. It's like a propaganda thing. Like the more you tell something, the more people believe it or whatever. You have to kind of plant those seeds and get people prepared to hear it or to learn about it. And so he's letting people know, those who are paying attention, that it's a possibility. First he's letting us know that there are sealed records you may not even realize are sealed.
Wow.
And then eventually he's going to say it again. He's going to talk about it again, and more people will hear it, just like so many other things that he does. And
it's marketing genius.
We
haven't even talked about Akbar reinstate the death penalty. I mean, there's a reason for that, and the timing of it right now.
Talked about that on Make Justice tonight, Scott. You're right, and it wasn't by mistake that the tweet about treason, you mentioned treason a while ago, it wasn't by mistake that treason tweet went out on the same day that Bill Barr announced that the death penalty was coming back for federal crimes, because treason is punishable by death.
It is, and it's not the first time he's mentioned treason, and that kind of gets back to my point, is that he mentioned treason a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
and he mentioned it again, and now he mentioned it again, and here we are with this
thing. Our vocabulary,
and it's going to keep going, and people are learning. He even mentioned what the penalty for treason was, which he was wrong. He said the penalty for treason was like jail or something. Penalty for treason is death.
Yeah.
Or
who said bring the firing squads back? I was with that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I said I'd volunteer for the firing squad.
You said that.
Not me, man.
Okay, it's 9:30, folks, so I'm going to play a real quick commercial in case you have to go take a bio break or get some water. So I'm going to play a real quick commercial here. It's about 3 minutes long. 3.5.
Hello, everyone. Chris McDonald with the Mac Files broadcast. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to listen every Monday through Friday night from 10 to 11 p.m. on Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube, Twitch, Switch, and other outlets that we're adding every day, Podbean as well. The Mac Files is a nightly broadcast of conservative talk, interviews, and encouragement from the realm of the president, the mega community, to the realm of faith and deep state politics, trying to expose darkness, expose pedophilia, expose the occult ties to our nation, and also bring encouragement to those that need encouragement in this last hour. The Mac Files will not disappoint with each guest we have. They bring a wide range of variety of information and inspiring talk right here every night, Monday through Friday, from 10 to 11. We also have a pirate radio show at 11:30 for the late nighters on Friday night, and a faith show on Sunday morning called Sunday Morning Meeting Time, and our Sunday night faith chat with a guest of faith each week to discuss the issues concerning the church and America. We encourage you to watch us. We encourage you to be with us each night for these shows, and we appreciate your support, both financially and otherwise. PayPal.me/TheMacFiles, Patreon.com/TheMacFiles is a way to support us financially. But we appreciate you coming in, supporting the show. Thank you for the texts, encouraging letters, and comments we get each week. And we invite you again to be with us every Monday through Friday night, 10 p.m., Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube, The Mac Files. Join us each night. Looking for you each night here on the Mac Files. God bless.
Amen, brother.
Chris Mack, please send your
Best
check.
commercial you've ever played in your freaking life, D'Angelo. I just want you to know that. That's the best commercial you've got on this show. I just want you to know.
Chris Mack, please send your check, care of Phil D'Angelo at.
I got a joke for y'all. Obama and Hillary are riding in a car. Who's doing the driving? The police!
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you said that quickly.
Beth, were you thinking hard on that one? I'm going to tweet that out tonight or tomorrow. You know what that was? And who is anybody? Scott, you're in Dallas. You're in Amarillo. You're in Texas. Do you know where that joke came from? Don't you? That came back in the 1990s when half the Dallas Cowboy football team was getting arrested for everything from drugs to wife beating to pet abuse. And Jared Jones, he wasn't sure he was going to be able to fill a punt return team. And then the ESPN guys put out a joke saying a Dallas linebacker and a Dallas running back were riding in the backseat of a car. He's driving, and they would say the police. Because in a matter of 3 weeks, half the Dallas Cowboy football team was in jail. So I thought that would be apropos for Obama and Hillary.
That was well played, Chris. Well played.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of like a smaller scenario of what's going on in the world right now. There's going to be a lot of arrests of Team Democrat.
Are you okay?
Me?
Yeah, you look like you said what, and then it was like confusing.
Oh, you know what? Apparently, I have a perpetually confused look on my face because
I didn't think that, but
when I used to work at a furniture store. Shout out to Van Landingham Lumber Company. It's not a furniture store.
Now we know
lumber
why
company.
you
Why did I say that?
cat claws not done. You're the furniture lobby.
My boss would call me into his office and tell me what he needed me to do. And while he was telling me, I'm fully comprehending. I'm making the plan for like how to make the thing happen. And then whenever he was finished, he would say, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so then I would go do it, and I'd come back, and he's all shocked that I was capable. I don't think that I represent myself real well.
I will never forget that now.
I'm easily underestimated.
That is true. Very true. I learned that last week very quickly.
Oh well. Oh wait, you did?
Oh, Chris Mack just said that his commercial was the greatest ever. I think this commercial is, if I can find it.
Here goes Phil. He's gonna one up his commercial.
Don't one up my commercial, D'Angelo. Don't mess up the perfect night. You've got the Mac Man on the Speakeasy show, and I didn't even charge you a fee. I didn't even ask for my autograph. I didn't even ship you my autograph before I came on. And you know, I didn't give you a list of demands like these famous Hollywood actors do before they come on a show. Like, I need a dressing room, I need a margarita, I need a deck of playing cards. I didn't do any of that. I just showed up. You know, I mean, and you're gonna ruin you're gonna take a commercial and up my. Are you serious? Look, just like a Yankee. I swear, it's just like a Yankee.
Oh yeah.
Just like.
And by the way, Chris, you had a great show last night with Tactical Ellie.
Was she good or what? She was awesome.
She was great.
She was awesome.
And she is in the chat room right now.
Oh, so. Tactical L.
Who is
she was a sweetheart, and look, she'll be back. Those Friday night, we're going to be turning Friday night, and I'm looking at some people in my windows here that are going to be on those Friday night chit chat soon. All of you, but seriously, Friday nights is going to be very similar to that. We're just going to chit chat like we're doing here tonight. I think people enjoy that. We get so serious during the week, and sometimes you just need to sit down and have a talk.
You know what, Chris? I'm very glad to hear that, because it was about a year and a half ago that you told me you were thinking about having a regular show where you had just people on, just like regular normal people that you just kind of talked to and chatted with, and I was going to be the first person that you like your pilot show, and we did that pilot show, and then you never did it again.
That is it been 18 months? It's not been 18 months, has it?
Maybe
down to the day.
Well, we'll break the ice. I'm going to be on your show, and I promise you, I'm going to get you on the Mac Files.
I'm just glad I didn't realize.
Beth definitely knows more than anybody else. I'll tell her I'll get back to you as soon as I can, Beth. And then 6 months later, Beth is like, Chris, did you not remember that you told me you'd get back to me? I mean, Beth still speaks to me. So
you've been making promises to me for weeks. I'm not even. No, but I'm just glad that I didn't.
This getting famous stuff is just, I'm dealing with it. I'm just.
Well, I will say my favorite line that you've ever said. This was several months back, and you were talking about terrorists, and and the relationship. This is a base show, and you said, "Tell them about Jesus, then kill them."
I didn't say that.
Did I say that?
You said that. I've got it.
I'm sure that made Right Wing Watch, Scott. I'm sure that I make Right Wing Watch like 6 times out of 5 days a week. I mean, I don't know why these people are obsessed with me, but I swear, every show we do. I told Birkeland tonight we're going to probably be on there this week because Leslie said something to the effect that Epstein needed to be beat within an inch of his life. She said, "Don't kill him, just beat him within an inch." And then let him talk, and then do whatever. But
I think
he'll wind up on a Right Wing Watch show.
Yeah, he's got to stay alive for a while, a bit.
Well, let's talk about that a second. Let me tell you what's creepy about that whole incident. 2 things. Number one, Keith Raniere got beat up 2 days before in his cell.
I didn't hear about that.
Good source told me that Keith Raniere was beat up in his jail cell. Now I don't even know where Keith Raniere's being held. I don't know if it's the same facility as Epstein, but either way. Epstein and him both supposedly were in isolation.
Somebody in the chat asking about.
What?
What?
Keith Raniere, Beth, is from NXIVM. He's the guy that ran NXIVM.
Yeah, somebody in the chat asking.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this happens when you're supposed to have both these men in isolation, and they're so high profile people, and a dirty cop is able to get in there and beat Epstein unconscious. Something ain't right.
He had his earplugs in. And
I don't know how it happened, Beth. I hadn't read the details. I'm going to look.
I don't think he was in isolation, was he?
He was supposed to be.
He shouldn't have.
That's what I heard.
Suicide watch.
Look, if they don't have this guy in isolation, Kim, that's the biggest travesty of justice in the world. Do they not know who this guy's got pinned? He's got the Clintons on his freaking flight log. I mean, you've got to have somebody like that on isolation, don't you? I would think so.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I feel confident that they would have him on isolation, but I had heard someone say that cop that they suspected of maybe having something to do with it.
Yeah,
he was in there with it, but I don't know how that could be.
I don't either. And don't think that money can't pass between that jail cell and the phone call come to a payphone. Cops picks up the payphone, and Hillary's like, "Kill the bastard! Kill the bastard!"
Well, just the day before he was attacked, that I can't think of the name. Taglione, I think, was the name.
Yeah.
The name of the dirty cop that they were thinking might have had something to do with it. Just the day before that, there was an article in the paper where he had been caught with a cell phone in his cell. It is possible. I'm not saying that that's what happened.
That's why. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kim. Go ahead.
Well, no, that's it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that he did it. I just am saying that there are ways to communicate with people within the prison system.
I know.
And the fact that he was a cop, that was just way too obvious in my point.
Yeah, I want to make a comment about that. First, I want to address a comment in the chat that just Tactical Elves wanted you to know, Chris, that she had a freaking awesome time last night.
Who did?
That's her new nickname. She gave Chris an out now. I can use frickin' the rest of my life. I know what it means. She knows what it means, but I can say it without all the bombs coming at me. But I'm using foul language on my program. So frickin' is our new back files word tonight.
Yeah, it's an inside joke because she used freaking the other night. And Chris didn't know what that meant exactly. Wasn't sure.
Now, is it freaking or frickin'?
Frickin'. Chris ain't dumb. Chris knew what it meant, but that's all right. I was good with it. I was cool with it. She did a great job.
That's good.
But then following up, I said I wanted to address Beth. You mentioned about the cop, the dirty cop.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just amazed over the last 2 weeks. Trump is clearing out the deep swamp. 22 Marines arrested.
We're going to talk about that next week, Scott. Exactly.
Yeah, and there was another ex-cop today, or actually it was ex-Mexican military guy. And he had something like $10 million worth of fentanyl they caught him smuggling.
Holy cow.
It's just every day there's all these dirty cops or dirty something they're finding out.
You gotta be shitting me, Joker.
Yeah, stuff's happening. I mean, if you look
somebody,
at each one...
Somebody go over there and take Phil D'Angelo's hand off that computer.
Please.
If one of his kids are listening to me tonight, come in there and remove your dad and sit down in that chair and take over your production from your father, because he's a little mentally deranged right now.
Do you think I'm cute? Do you think I'm funny?
1-800-HELP-A-YANKEE, and let the guys with the suits come out.
Is Phil
Who the fuck said that?
Is Phil hitting the ketchup bottle hard?
Who the fuck said that?
Hold it up, Phil. Hold it up and show us your ketchup bottle.
Oh, I don't have my ketchup bottle tonight. Okay, it's quarter of. One more commercial here, folks. Just one more commercial here. Oh, and it's not the greatest commercial ever. Apparently, according to Chris Mack.
Somebody in the chat asking about Doc's show. That's not rude to ask. That's not rude to ask. Ask away. When is it? 10 p.m. Saturday. Doc and Phil D'Angelo. Phil D'Angelo. And the sultry southern tones of the Southern Belle, Doc Martin. 10 p.m. Saturday. There you go. That's not rude.
That's our commercial.
Oh, and you left out the sultry comment.
Oh, no, he said it.
Oh, did you say that? I missed it.
I do want to send a shout out to Doc Martin tonight. I hate she's not here tonight. I love Denise Martin to death. Sorry you're not feeling it, buddy.
Well,
She's the glue that holds us together.
We're praying for you.
Phil, I just sent you my favorite commercial. Would you like to play it?
Oh, where is it?
You might want to listen first.
What did you send it to me on?
Telegram.
Okay.
Your DM. It's a classic.
You know how to multitask.
Kimmy.
It's a classic.
Oh, hold on. I got to download it.
By the way, Chris, if you go to Ireland, they say frecking, F-R-E-K.
To demonstrate the tremendous strength of the new superpower.
Hold on. I gotta download it. It won't play.
This is an actual commercial. I'm not joking.
Oh,
I mean, I am joking, but I'm not joking.
It's the Geico motorcycle commercial.
It's gonna take a minute here.
Hey.
Oh, no, don't worry about it.
While we're waiting on that commercial, I do want to say something about these police officers.
We're waiting on a commercial.
Let me tell you this. Most of the cops in America are great people, and they're wonderful people in blue. there's some bad apples with every bunch, and there's isolated people that don't do this. But the thing that's bothered me tonight, too, is the number of suicides. Folks, there was another suicide today. Yeah. Another police officer that had his hands, that was part of the group, that had seen that Anthony Weiner laptop, and he's taken his life. That's six. That's six in a matter of a month.
Is it really?
It's a lot.
The FBI agent was killed on the dance floor in Austin.
Yeah. And somebody trying to be a jerk was sending me these messages saying, well, you're making fun of death, and we feel like that's offensive. Look, folks, we're not making fun of anything, but what we are sort of making light of the fact is that freaking every time we turn around, somebody tied to Hillary and Bill Clinton dropped dead.
Yep.
I mean, how much more has to drop dead before somebody actually puts the pieces together? And you know what? That makes me just want to puke over the mainstream media tonight. That you never hear any of this in the mainstream media. You never have ever, in all these years, nobody in the mainstream media has ever talked about this publicly. We talk about it on these shows. We converse about it, and people on Twitter talk about it, and certain right-wing websites talk about it. Breitbart, I've seen some interesting things. Gateway Pundit. But you know something? Mainstream media will never touch this in a million years. But yet, it is inexcusable not to look at this and ask yourself the question, what's the common denominator with 6 New York police officers committing suicide? And if it's Anthony Weiner laptop, duh.
And where is Huma? I mean, I haven't even seen the woman.
She was dancing with Hillary somewhere. Like,
was she?
She was, Scott. That's right. I heard that. I heard that she was.
Recently or what?
Yes, recently.
Yeah, like last week. Maybe even this
Were they in their Indian garb like last time?
I'm sorry.
It's just a dumb joke, sort of. Last time I heard of them dancing together, they were like wearing Indian. They were like at an Indian wedding, and it looked like fun. Actually, that's kind of jelly.
I actually listened to a good show.
I love Kimmy.
I don't know if you ever watched Pete Santilli, but he had Bill Binney on talking about the Seth Rich and the DNC hack. And
that's coming back.
Boy, he has got it nailed, and he has gone to the president. The president has, I think he went to the DOJ to talk to, I don't know who the Attorney General was, Sessions or it was Barr. I'm not sure, but there is a lot of information Bill Binney and his team have regarding the DNC hack. And what was interesting was the CrowdStrike assessment of the hack was redacted and given to Mueller and the FBI, and the Mueller team nor the FBI have the unredacted version. How is that possible?
See, in Mueller's report, which he did not write nor read, I was hoping that at some point they would ask him, and they may have, and I just didn't see it. I was hoping at some point the conservatives, the Republicans, would ask him, so why are you referring to this stuff as having been hacked when you don't do you have proof that it was hacked? Because it wasn't.
Question, Kim.
Because Bill Binney said 2 years ago that shit wasn't hacked. It was downloaded and passed on. It went too fast. It went too fast for the internet.
Exactly.
Well, CrowdStrike.
Guys, I would submit to y'all tonight that the Russians didn't do one thing to our voting system.
CrowdStrike works for...
One vote was changed. They cannot... Even Mueller said that. I think that question was asked to him at some point, and Bill Barr said that in his report. He said, as far as we know, not one single vote was altered by the Russians. Not one.
Now,
Chris,
did you see the video?
Sorry to interrupt, but CrowdStrike, and this wasn't reported before, but Bill Binney talked about it. CrowdStrike, who did the assessment of the DNC server and redacted most of the report that they sent to the FBI and Mueller, CrowdStrike works for Fusion GPS. How is this even possible?
It's possible, Phil. It's possible, man. Look, no matter what I said a while ago, folks, this is what the country's been put through for all this. We're sitting here tonight, 3 years later, with a cesspool of crap that we're wading through, and yes, we're waiting for justice. We're waiting for these people to go down. We shouldn't be waiting for this. This should never have happened. None of this.
And we all get presumption of innocence, but no one else does.
Right. I'm going to say something slightly controversial, And that thing is because of Q, who has been passing out all this information and has gotten people interested in researching and looking and digging for stuff. That's how I knew about Bill Binney 2 years ago, about what he said about Seth Rich's stuff. That's how I knew about like all these things that we're talking tonight, is because of the research that Anons have done through Q, regardless of whether you like or don't like Q or think he's fake or not fake or AI or deep state or blah, 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 blah. Whatever people think it is, it has gotten people researching stuff. And that is how. And so these things like the stuff about Bill Binney, that's how I know this information is not because Q told me necessarily, but it's because Anons have come along and dug because of something Q said. They come in and they dig, and they find this stuff.
Well, what I thought Bill Binney said was the most interesting part was the download speed of the hack isn't even invented yet.
Oh, wow.
Nobody in the world has that download speed at this time. It's still being worked on.
I didn't remember that part.
Yeah, he said that on the Pete Santilli show. He said that it's still being experimented with.
And not one person is questioning that.
Nobody's questioning Beth. And you know, you mentioned the Seth Rich situation. And folks, that stinks. It just stinks of a cover-up. And it's been covered up. And again, who is... You know, and I look at what happened with Hannity. I mean, you know, supposedly the family got upset that Hannity was bringing national attention to Seth Rich, and they shut him down. He almost lost his job at Fox over it. Yeah. I mean, that's how crazy this got.
I'll tell you why, Chris, before you go any further. According to Bill Binney, Seth Rich's brother is involved and helped deliver the information to WikiLeaks. That's why they're doing that, because they don't want another dead son. That's my opinion.
Somebody tell me what Phil said.
Go ahead. Phil, can you say it again?
Well, what I said was Bill Binney has stated on the Pete Santilli show that Seth Rich's brother is involved with delivering information to WikiLeaks, and that's why the family is trying to avoid any more digging or investigation into this. I mean, you've already lost one son. Do you want to lose another one?
Yeah, you only have two, and you've lost one.
Yep.
And he was involved, apparently. I didn't realize that, but I can't think of the guy's name. I think it's Bukowski, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
It's an article that... And he said that, oh, gosh, the other woman, her name starts with an R. Like, she's on Fox News regularly, apparently.
Is it Raditz or something like that?
That's it.
Yeah.
But she had some Raditz.
A reporter was communicating with WikiLeaks. She knows who provided WikiLeaks the information.
Right. And so she was traveling, and apparently, because this is just basically what Bukowski said that she told him. So, you know, you have to factor in that it's how many people have told the story, but apparently she went in and visited with Assange for, she said, 6 hours, I believe. And during that 6 hours, he told her that Seth Rich did give him, Seth and Aaron, and that he wanted his parents, Seth's parents, to know. And so she reached out to Bukowski, and Bukowski was supposed to have told Seth's parents, and for whatever reason decided not to. I didn't really understand all that. But then eventually he did, and whenever he did, they said that they already knew, and that they didn't want anything to be said about it. Now, the reason that they gave was because they didn't want Seth and Aaron to be blamed for Donald Trump being the president. But that still could be
Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, that could be true. But see, Seth Rich was not a Republican. He was a Democrat, and he wasn't just a Democrat. He was a Bernie bro. Like, he would have hated.
I would want my child's death reason to be known, no matter who it hurt.
That's it. Ellen Ratner. I'm sorry. The name was Ellen Ratner, not Raditz.
Okay. But would you want your child's death, the reason for your child's death, to be known publicly if that put your other child at risk?
Oh, I missed the other child part.
And none of this is conspiracy theory. Let me tell you why. This is in federal court right now. Bukowski's suing in federal court over this. Yes.
Yeah.
Do y'all think Durham's looking into this? Do y'all think this is part of what Durham's looking at too?
I believe
Do you think
so.
anybody's looking into this at all?
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Yeah, I don't know about Durham.
We know right now, in my opinion, is like the greatest time to be an attorney or a prosecutor because of 8chan boards and the anons. Hell, they don't have to do anything. All the research has been done 2 years ago, and in the intervening time period, all an attorney
Plus,
has to
there's
do
a lot
is
of
go
people
there
to prosecute.
Yeah, and they get all the way down to the documents where you can go and find them on a website and see that they're real. I mean, those guys do thorough investigation.
I mean,
they do. They found Shia LaBeouf's flag. What was that, Beth?
Like Tom Fenton's judicial laws, what they do and bring to light. Just imagine what all these anons are finding.
Yeah, Tom's awesome.
On the dark web and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and everything Tom comes out with, we've already known for 2 years on the web. Through,
he confirms it. He confirms. He confirms what. Yeah. He but he can also he can get stuff that the Chans can't get because he goes in and gets sealed government records that haven't been made public yet, like classified information. I don't know about classified, but just stuff that hasn't been released.
Sealed or whatever.
Yeah, plus Solomon, Sarah Carter, you got Dangino. Between the three, they seem to get a lot of information the rest of us don't have access.
Did you just do a Chris Mack and say Dangino?
He did.
What?
He did.
Did I just let something go over my head here? What
went over mine.
He did. Instead of Dan Bongino, he said Dangino.
Oh,
Dangino.
He's pulling a Chris tonight. Oh, okay. I've rubbed off on the folks in. That's good.
Are you guys watching Trump's tweets right now?
No.
Is he tweeting right now?
He just tweeted at Rep. Elijah Cummings, why don't you worry about your own district?
Oh, he's retweeting videos of Baltimore right now.
He's declared war. And let me tell you something, folks. I said this. I said this on the show this week. All these Democrats did this week was piss the president off now.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know why he's doing this? If they would have just left well enough alone and walked away from this, I don't think President Trump, I think he was willing to let a sleeping dog die publicly.
I agree.
I'm not saying privately, but I don't think he was going to go out and publicly do what he's done. But I'm going to tell you something. They picked this fight, and they picked it with the wrong amigo. Mm-hmm. This is not Barack Wussy Obama, and this is not George Bush Jr. the wimp, and this is not Bill Woman Clinton. This is Donald J. Trump. And he fights back.
Yes,
and
he
Cummings
does.
Cummings picked this fight. And all this media tonight talking about how racist he is, hitting on going against a black man. Let me tell you something, folks. Elijah Cummings started this. He started this. All Donald Trump's doing is finishing it. And he's basically taking it down to him right where it hurts. His own district. There's nothing that he's saying tonight that can't be proven with fact. And the people in Baltimore are probably reading those tweets and saying, he's exactly right. We are the crime capital of the world.
Wow.
But you know what, though? Did you see that clip from that man on CNN? It's like a 2-minute clip of some guy his name starts with an R. I don't know what his name is. Or a V. I don't know what it starts with. But he picked out a bunch of Trump tweets that were all about infestation. Did y'all see that clip?
No.
That clip pissed me the fuck off. I was listening. So Trump's he picked out I think 4 or 5 different tweets where Trump used the term infestation, and they were all talking about that a place or infested. It was such and such was a crime infested place. This place was a crime infested place or a rat infested place. He talked about sending our troops to a place in Africa that had a lot of Ebola, and he referred to it as an Ebola infested place. And the guy that was talking about it
my God. You should
was
see these tweets.
He was so dramatic about it, and he was saying that every time that Trump has used the term infested, it's been in reference to black or brown people.
No.
That is not true. He not once called the people infested. He said that the place was infested and that people should not live. He said no human would want to live there. He was saying that your district is so shitty that the people who live there would love to get the fuck out of it. That's what he said.
Pretty much.
Nobody would live there voluntarily.
Yeah.
And
he was calling out Elijah Cummings.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just Cummings. It's not just Cummings. It's the whole Baltimore hierarchy. Mosby, that police DA or the DA, the lady that brought those false charges in the Freddie Gray case against those police officers and got slapped down and almost lost her job, which she should have lost her job. When those riots broke out, Elijah Cummings and Sharpton and Maxine Waters and all that bunch started marching down the street telling the world, oh, it's calm here in Baltimore tonight. It's calm. You see these people thinning out. I was laughing my butt off that night. The whole freaking town, half a block, was on fire, and Elijah Cummings on TV. Oh, there's no riots here in Baltimore. We ain't got no racial unrest here in this city. We're the metropolis. We're the poster child of beautiful American cities right here. The town is burning because of a corrupt district attorney and a corrupt police chief and a corrupt police commissioner and a corrupt mayor, and the governor ain't much better, and the whole mess is corrupt.
No, correct president. You talking about like back during the riots?
No, this was during. Yeah, this was it Obama? I guess it was 2015.
It was.
Obama was in office then, exactly. And we had
reminded me of Baghdad Bob.
Her name is Stephanie something.
Mosby was her last name. I can't remember her first name. But
y'all remember Baghdad Bob?
Yes.
Bob during the Iraq War when everything's fine. There's nothing going on here. And we're like turning the place into a parking lot.
What does that mean that they use that guy's like at his computer and everything is all burning? There's all fire everywhere. It's like a cartoon. And he's like, everything's fine. He's just kind of sitting there. I guess y'all haven't seen it.
Oh my God, he retweeted it again.
Yeah, he's
Rep Cummings, your district.
Yep. Good for him. Guys, I hate to leave you tonight. I have enjoyed this first hour with you. I'm going to let y'all sort of finish it up. But Phil, thank you for the invitation, buddy, and Denise. Good to see everybody. Scott, really pleasure meeting you, buddy. Good to see you in person. Beth, blessings.
Love you.
Blessings. Love you guys. Thank you, Phil, for having me and surviving this hour with the Atlanta Brace hat on. I'll wear my pirate radio hat so me and Phil look like the Boxy twins just for a few minutes here.
My stomach is so upset about that hat.
Yeah, I know you're so upset. That's why I put the blue hat on so you could see that we look like the Boxy twins.
Well,
but I've got to run.
Coming up next is Promises Kept, and we have a special co-host is going to be Kimmy Jong-un tonight in place of Doc Martin.
Bless you guys. Enjoyed
Doc
it.
Martin.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Chris. Really loved it.
Talk to you soon.
Everybody, join us next for Promises Kept. We're a little bit late, but Kimmy Jong-un will be on in place of the ill Doc Martin.
Hey, great.
And, yep, there go our boxes. So, good night, everybody.
So
wait a minute. Now? Let's let Beth say good night.
Good night.
No.
That's it, Beth? Good night?
That's it. Good night.
Scott, fire away.
Well, for me is, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We all have, our ways that we are MAGA.
Express ourselves, yeah.
This is, I'm disabled. I can't leave the house much, so, and Beth too, but this is how we do our MAGA. We try to reach other people through things like this and chat rooms. So thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, great.
I feel like I talked a little bit too much tonight, so sorry to my other co-hosts.
No, you were awesome.
You are.
All right, Kimmy, I'm not going to say anything because we're going to be up next. So if you want to say good night.
No, I'll wait.
Okay, everybody, join us on Promises Kept on in about, I don't know, give us 5 minutes or so. Okay? Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Don't forget to join us on the next show coming up in about 5 minutes.